In addition to work, there was only one passion in Tyler Brown's life, to which he devoted a lot of time and money. As the owner of an animal shelter, he gave homeless pets food and a roof over their heads. A successful businessman has been helping animals in trouble for years. In this, he was helped by Jennifer, a young employee who has worked at the shelter for a very long time. "Hello, Mr. Brown. Glad to see you," the girl said at the side of the owner of the shelter. "Jennifer, how many times have I told you? Call me by my first name." Tyler smiled, entering the shelter. He was 8 years older than the girl and treated her like a younger sister. Of course, Tyler suspected that Jennifer was not indifferent to him, but he tried not to attach much importance to this. And the unfortunate girl, experiencing mental anguish from unrequited love, waited for the owner of the shelter to pay attention to her. Of course, connected by a common cause, they talked a lot and crossed paths within the walls of the shelter, but it was unlikely that it could be called a relationship. Jennifer saw the ideal of the man in Tyler and dreamed that one day he would lead her down the aisle. Recently, Jennifer found out that the owner of the shelter has a beloved woman. This seductive beauty with the look of the winner stared at others through the slightly open window of the car. They met in a nightclub, where Tyler's friend threw a birthday party. A variety of cocktails and atmosphere of general fun warmed up the hearts and heads of the participants of the holiday. Soon enough, the young people split into pairs and completely retired to different corners of the nightclub. By pure chance, Tyler and Pamela ended up at the same table. Time flew by unnoticed, and the young people, after chatting all evening, were clearly delighted with each other. They left together. Anyway, they spent that night together at Tyler's country house. With the appearance of Pamela in his life, the young businessman literally got a second wind. Contracts and lucrative deals succeed each other, bringing Tyler's company a fabulous profit. Now, the businessman did not have enough time for a shelter and practically stopped visiting his pets. And all this was because Tyler, in love, was following the bride's lead, fulfilling her every whim. Gradually, the affairs of the orphanage, which used to be the meaning of his life, faded into the background. Of course, this caused Jennifer extreme distress, but Tyler didn't even know about it. After all, he had a wedding with a Pamela around the corner, without which he could no longer imagine his life. However, Tyler's pre-holiday mood was slightly spoiled by a conversation with his mother, who, upon acquaintance, did not like Pamela very much. "You know, son, it's up to you, of course. But it seems to me that this girl is not a match for you. You shouldn't be in a hurry with the wedding," said worried Vanessa Brown, whose motherly heart felt something was wrong. But Tyler was in love. He didn't care about anything, and therefore they still played a wedding with Pamela. The businessman, blinded by passion, did not even draw up a marriage contract, on which his mother insisted so much. "Tyler, honey, this beauty will leave you without a cent in your pocket. I know that you've earned everything in your life with sweat and blood," Mrs. Brown tried to convince her son. "Mom, calm down. I know that Pamela loves me and will never leave me, and I don't need anything else," Tyler replied irritably, considering Mom's fears groundless and meaningless. On a wedding day of a loved one, Jennifer cried all day. The girl's heart refused to believe that her last hope for personal happiness had collapsed. A year passed unnoticed. Tyler and Pamela's family life went on as usual. Of course, the emotional passion subsided a little, but in the whole everything was fine, and soon, smiling mysteriously, Pamela informed her husband that she was pregnant. "God, how glad I am, thank you, honey," Tyler exclaimed happily, hugging his wife tightly. After this news, Vanessa Brown's attitude towards his daughter-in-law warmed noticeably. When Pamela gave her a grandson Bobby, the woman completely melted. True, she was a little confused by the fact that the boy was born blonde, while Tyler and all his relatives were brunettes. It must have been passed down Pamela's line, Vanessa Brown thought, nursing her granddaughter. But if Mom still thought about such things sometimes, then Tyler had no time to deal with trifles. He had just significantly expanded his business, intending to open a branch of his company in a neighboring city. But still, Tyler did not forget about the affairs of the animal shelter, even though he was there extremely rarely. Jennifer during this time has turned into a real beauty, who has been courted by more than a dozen guys. But the girl's heart belonged to Tyler. and she couldn't forget him no matter how much she tried. Unfortunately, she didn't know that the owner of the shelter had no time to look around, especially after Bobby's son got sick. The boy suddenly had a high fever and developed a dry cough. Bobby's condition was rapidly deteriorating, so soon he had to be hospitalized in the best clinic in the city. The boy had a detailed blood test and X-ray, which showed big problems in the lungs. Thanks to timely treatment and expensive medications, Bobby soon began to recover. But just before his discharge, the boy's father was called by the head of the intensive care unit. Closing the door behind him, the elderly doctor said, "Mr. Brown, sir, here's the thing. I don't know where to start in general. Your son has a 4th blood type, and you have the 1st. Of course, I'm not hinting on anything, but I would like to recommend that you do a DNA test." Tyler felt sweat break out on his forehead, and goosebumps run down his spine. "Well, let's do it," the young father answered in trembling voice and left the office. The test results came back a week later. With trembling hands, Tyler unfolded a piece of paper with seals and stamps of medical institutions, which stated that he was not Bobby's father. The shocked guy leaned his back against the wall and slowly sank to the floor. Holding his head in his hands, Tyler began to cry softly. That evening, he and Pamela had a serious conversation. "What is that? Are you taking me for a fool?" an angry Tyler asked and threw DNA tests into his wife's face. "Honey, how could you think that about me?" This is all a medical error," Pamela replied calmly. "I don't know how you can prove the opposite," replied Tyler, who, loving his wife, naively believed every word she said. The next day, the businessman, as usual, had breakfast and went to work. At parting, Tyler told his wife that he had a business meeting with a partner, and most likely he would stay in the office longer than usual. The day flew by unnoticed, and in the evening, alarmed Bobby asked Pamela, "Mom, where's Dad?" But the woman just shrugged and stole a glance at the window. But Tyler never showed up at night. He didn't show up the next day, 2 days later, or even a week later. Worried Vanessa Brown went to the police in connection with the disappearance of her son. The application from her, of course, was accepted, but they were in no hurry to look for it, saying that the businessman would return himself, and a couple of days later, Tyler's car was found in a river nearby, but he himself was not in it. Although the police and rangers from the search teams vied with each other to say that he was simply swept away by the current, and the businessman has long been dead. Now, Tyler's mom had to come to terms with the death of her son. Pamela, who was considered an official widow, gradually began to delve into her late husband's business, trying to adjust it to herself. As the years passed, Tyler was officially declared dead, and only Jennifer did not believe in the death of the owner of the shelter. One day, the girl had a wonderful dream, in which Tyler walks in some small town and knocks on every house asking for help. Jennifer woke up already with feeling of happiness in her soul. "I know he's alive." The stubborn girl on the same day went to the place where Tyler's car was found. There was only one small town in the vicinity of the river. So Jennifer went around every yard and every house in it, but no one had heard about missing businessmen. And only at the end of the day Jennifer was lucky. The local postman said that he found a beaten guy by the road. He had no money and no documents. Having taken the victim to himself, the old man went out and put him on his feet. Everything would have been fine if the guy saved by postman hadn't lost his memory. Opening the door of the old man's house, the girl almost fainted from happiness. Tyler Brown was looking at her, noticeably thinner, and with a small beard on his haggard face. "It's me, Jennifer. I'm so glad you're alive." But Tyler only blinked uncomprehendingly in response, complaining about memory lapses. Then the girl took out her smartphone and began to show him photos from social networks. There were wedding, work, and even photos from shelter for dogs. At the same time, she told Tyler about his biography, business, an elderly mother, and that he has a son, Bobby. Apparently, the head injury was not as serious as it was thought at first. Slowly, with fragments of memories, and with the help of hints, Tyler remembered who he was, and what happened on that fateful day for him. As it turned out, he was attacked by Edward Parker, his business partner. The reason was not known to Tyler, but most likely envy and greed were to blame. The guy miraculously managed to get out of the sinking car and crawl to the road, where the old postman found him. Together with Jennifer, Tyler safely reached the city, asking the girl not to tell anyone about his miraculous resurrection. The young businessman took a taxi and headed to his country house. Even from afar, he saw a luxurious waiting motorcade entering the courtyard of his house. An evil light immediately flashed in Tyler's eyes. After asking the taxi driver to slow down, he paid the driver and approached the house on foot. And in the mansion, music was playing and guests were having fun. Tyler cautiously went inside and saw that his partner Edward and his ex-wife Pamela were sitting at the festive table in a place of newlyweds. The people who betrayed him had already exchanged rings and merged into a single passionate kiss. Tyler's mind was enveloped in anger, and unnoticed by passing all the guests, he approached the table of the newlyweds from behind. "May I congratulate you?" Tyler asked softly. Pamela shuddered in surprise and began to gasp for air like a stranded fish. Edward, on the other hand, quickly regained consciousness and ran away from the banquet, realizing that prison was waiting for him. Pamela, tearful, knelt down, trying to soften her ex-husband. She didn't realize that everything had become as clear as day to Tyler. After all, Edward was her lover all these years, and Bobby was also from him. The partner did not like that he received a much smaller percentage of the profits than Tyler. Blinded by greed, Edward did not realize that the firm was entirely Tyler's brainchild, while he had absolutely no effort to develop it. When the businessman found out that Bobby was not his biological son, the lovers decided to get rid of Tyler and take the business and assets to their own hands. It was only by pure chance that he managed to survive. Now, the unlucky lovers are waiting for a trial and a very real term of imprisonment. And Tyler, recovering from the attack, re-established the business of the company and, taking with him Bobby, Jennifer and Mom, went to the coast of Miami for a vacation. Tyler considers his non-biological son to be his own, agreeing that it's not the father who gave birth, but the one who raised the child. Jennifer and Tyler became a couple. Their path to happiness was long and tragic, but they passed it and are now happy together. Living in peace and love with the person dear to her heart, the girl is preparing for the appearance of her first child, whom she carries under her heart.